way to find out.
Just push them off. So, man, this last episode, I've been thinking about it all week.
And, I wore the same shirt.
Me too. And I was thinking about something through the entire episode when we were going through this. This Bible study that we recently had was on purpose, and it was about that hits really close.
On purpose?
Yeah, I had a Bible study on purpose.
I guess having a Bible
Listen,
study.
I walked into a Bible study in my house before that I didn't know was happening. So, no, we had a Bible study on purpose, and obviously with our charity, empowering the next generation to live with a purpose,
right.
It really hit home. And one of the statements in this lesson was, is it a good idea or a God idea?
Love that.
And I started thinking about that. And it kind of had several different things that you could apply to ask yourself, is this your idea or God's idea? And I think so many times, just like the last episode, he had an idea and then he went for it. But I don't think that most people really have a problem with the idea of going for it so much as they lack that drive that we talk about because they're not sure about their purpose. What are you laughing about over there?
Here we go. He's crying.
I still cracked up about you saying last week.
I mean, that wasn't even that funny, bro.
I didn't smoke weed. You just got me in the feels, buddy. I said we're trying to hold it in. I don't even know why that's that funny, but it just cracked me up. Okay. Came back.
Man, I wish I could be that funny all the time.
He has not eaten an edible today.
I don't even eat edibles or anything. But anyways, go ahead. God reason, good reason, God reason. Let's go.
So back to purpose. So anyway, people have ideas. We all have ideas and thoughts about things, but I'm not sure. I know for me, the things that hold me back are not that I'm not willing to do the work, not that I'm not willing to do anything it takes. It's the fact that my drive will teeter there for a minute because I'm not sure if that's what I'm supposed to do or not. And I think so many of us, especially if you're a little more creative mindset or an entrepreneur mindset, you have a lot of thoughts and ideas on a regular basis. In fact, most of the time when I'm talking to my wife or you're talking to your wife, probably you talking to your wife, I just know for a fact because they've complained about us together. But
our wives complain about us. I don't
know. They constantly have to make a stop and go, do you remember the last 5 ideas you had? You want to put all those to work before you start working on a new idea? Right? And so that's been a big struggle for me in my life, is that just because you have a talent or just because you have an ability, a thought, or anything, doesn't mean that that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Just because it can make money doesn't mean that
just because it's got wheels don't mean you got to roll it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm curious about either one of you guys. Do you have a way that you go about when you come up with a new idea or come up with a new idea to market your company or a new direction to go in life in general? Do you have a way to go, no, this is not me. This is where God is telling me to go, rather than this is just what I want?
For me, when I get passionate about something, I see it through. When I think I got an idea that I'm like, man, that would be cool. I got a good idea there. Usually within a week or so, I'll suss it out and be like, nah, I don't want to spend time on that. It's not worth my time. And it's not that I talk myself out of it, but I understand that even if it is something I'm going to do eventually, it's not something I want to spend time on right now. And a lot of times I call and I suss that out with you, and we do a lot of talking on everything from, any of the millions of businesses and ideas we've had. We're like, do we want to spend the money on that? Would our money be better spent going somewhere else? And I think we just kind of talk it out. I mean, that's why I love having friends like y'all that I can call and be like, dude, I got this idea. Tell me what you think. And most of the time you always meet with, man, I think that's a cool idea. Let me suss it out. And then by the time you get thinking about it, are we really going to put time and effort into that? It doesn't change the fact that I still think, man, that would be cool to do. But I do look at it and say, is that something I need to do right now? And I think that with what you're saying here is I want to always be walking in what God's purpose is for me. I want to always be walking towards those things. And I mean, I mess up every day. We all mess up every day, whatever. But, there's so many things that I was like, I want to do that, and I want to do that, and I want to do that. And here lately, I've just put a lot more laser focus on, just the entertainment aspect of what I do, but also, with the speaking and everything. And I've kind of pulled back from, building different businesses. I put it all on my music, my speaking, all the being on stage basically is where I've put my focus. And now I'm starting to get more stages because now I'm more focused on that part of it. What I've learned is that in order to monetize those things, you do have to have something that you're passionate about once you get up there that actually makes money. You can't just be like, yes, I love writing songs. I write a song every day. I sent you a song the other day. I think, it evoked emotion. That song may or may not ever make any money. It may or may not ever see the light of day. It's something that held my heart. But I know that I can't
put all... It's going to be played at my funeral.
Dang, it's 2 funerals I got to play that song at now.
No, you died before me, buddy. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't my funeral. Jamie Noe asked me to sing at his funeral, too.
No, I'm saying you're going to die before me. I'm not dying before you. You can't sing at my funeral.
Oh, yeah, just be on record. I can live forever in a song.
Yes, you can.
Anyway, no,
why are we dying?
Well, I mean, I'll probably be the first to go. I mean, you don't see too many 100-year-old 300-pounders.
And I've known that I was going to live to be over 100 since I was like 9. I don't know why. But
Newsflash, Jared's a vampire. Okay.
Starting to wrinkle up, though.
Yeah. But, yeah, that happens when you're 714 years old.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Secrets out.
Yeah, I just think that, as I'm learning this thing, like my process has been to get on stage. Well, normally when I get on stage, it's like I put on a show and I get paid trade my time for the money that they're willing to pay me to come play on the stage, or the money that I demand when I come there, and we work out and negotiate deals. But what I've realized is I need to be turning every single one of those stages into a platform that gets people to my business, whether it be my music, whether it be, my wife's health and fitness company, and the things that I'm creating with that. But every single time I'm on that stage, I need to leave with people knowing my purpose and what I do outside of just like, hey, you got up there and you entertained for an hour and a half. Because I don't want to just trade my time for money. I want to trade my time, for the money, but then I want to create a residual income out of that. And the only way to do that is to get on that stage and make an impact so much that they're like, dude, I want to follow whatever that guy's doing. I want to drink what he's drinking. I want to eat what he's eating. It's a lot of meat. I just want y'all to know that. It's a lot of meat and water.
Eggs.
Meat, eggs. That's pretty much
Oatmeal.
it. No, I quit eating oatmeal.
Oh.
Cut it out.
You doing the carnivore diet?
Not carnivore per se, but I'm still doing some beans and things like that. I just cut out a lot of the bad greens. I cut out corn. I cut out oats. I cut out rice. So doing kind of.
I'm on the COVID diet, which means I eat whatever I want to. However much of it.
It's working out great. So you can do.
I didn't know where that was headed.
You can do that whenever you go work your butt off slinging hammers every day.
Dude, I told Jen the other day, I was like, we're working so hard that if I would eat healthy, I'd be ripped because I'm not gaining a pound. I mean, and I eat like crap now.
You look pretty good anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thanks, man.
I mean, I'm not gay or nothing, but if I was,
I'd run.
I would go for Chris.
You're still way bigger than me, and
I can't catch you. If I was, I'd go for Chris Hemsworth, but you'd be in the top 6.
So could he jog?
Yeah, you can jog. I can't get you then. I can't do anything. I got a boot on. But no, I mean, I think that was my process that I go through is I have to just kind of suss it out. I have to work it out. I can't look at myself at the beginning of an idea and be like, no, that's a bad idea. Like I have to go through those processes and eliminate, is this something I truly want to do, that I want to spend time on? Would I be happy doing it long term if it blew up and it worked out?
And are you getting better about, say with like our wives, are you getting better about not voicing that necessarily to her and sussing it out in your head or using other friends or?
So one of the problems I've had as an issue is when I have an idea, I come to you. You know what I mean? Because we have that same mentality of like, bro, wait a second. Did I just have a great idea? And sometimes it works out. We have like 6 businesses together. But I feel like I've not failed my wife. I mean, my wife loves me and we have a great relationship, but so many times I don't go to her with the idea because she has her own business and her own thing going. And it wasn't until recently, like I think we talked about on an episode, where she felt like I wanted to do, businesses with everybody else, but not her. So now when I first have an idea, I go to my wife first. And I say, what do you think about this? And now she knows automatically if she's like, I don't get it, whatever, I'm going to go talk to Jared. I'm going to go talk to Jared. I'm going to be like, hey, what do you think about this? And I suss it out, And so, and the reason I'm doing that is because I realized that I did just skip past her because she already has her own business going. She has her own things on her own plate. And I felt like I was putting more stress on her to be like, what do you think about this? And now I'm taking her focus off what she's doing.
I mean, I went through a similar thing with my wife as well. And the reality is that I will tell you everything that's running through my head all day long. And they get tired of that sometimes. And so I stopped telling her my ideas because I was like, you don't want to hear it.
I think I had that as well. And I think, there's just a lot of times with these ideas, like there's been times when I'm talking about an idea with you on the phone. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you never told me about that. What are y'all doing? I'm like, oh, yeah, we talked about it.
Blaming on me, like it was his idea. I didn't have anything to do with it.
No, it's not that. It's just that, especially when we were, pre-COVID, when we were in the van for 15 hours at a time. I would talk to you the entire time. Then I'd work on V-Shred and do my typing thing. Then I'd usually pass out for a little bit, and then we'd usually get right to about Chattanooga, and then you'd hand me the keys, and I'd drive the rest of the way. I'd start us off, and I would drive us the first few hours, probably, I don't know, just to the Valdosta maybe, or whatever, the lower part of Georgia. Get us out of Jacksonville into that lower part of Georgia, and then Jared would take over, and he would drive for the next 2 or 3, 4, 5 hours. And then usually I'd come back in at the very end, because Weeks wasn't going to drive.
No.
Well, we weren't going to let Weeks drive back then, But anyway, we had talked about so many things in that time that we created stuff, And some of that stuff is fruitful and done great, and some of that stuff is like, dude, what the hell was we thinking, But I think when my wife would hear us talking about it, there was that sense of like, well, why didn't you include me in that? Why don't you want to do a business with me? And so I understood where she's at. Now, if we're riding in the car, I don't know, most of the time we're on planes now. We fly to the location instead of spending 15 hours on the road. But if we're in a plane and we're sitting there for hours and we're talking, I'm not going to stop and be like, hang on, let me text my wife and make sure she's okay with me having this conversation.
Right.
But, if it's something that I come up with, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? So anyways, there's that. Yeah. What is your process?
I'm a little bit different than both of you two. I think both of you two are visionaries. Obviously you're musicians, so you got to have a lot of that in you, that creative
I need a recording
side.
that says that. I'm a visionary.
It's visionary. I don't think I'm a visionary. This is just hitting me because of you posing this question. I've had 3 jobs, real jobs, careers in my life. One was Cisco, the food industry. I followed my father there.
Yeah.
My first entrepreneurship journey was my cousin's idea. He had already started it and needed my help. And then the mortgage business, a lady asked me to come take over her mortgage business. So at no point have I stopped and done what was my idea, with exception to my wife's business. That was my idea, her passion. And it takes a lot for me to stay out of her business. It's her business. I support her business. I'll do anything I can to help her business. And I'm very opinionated about it because it truly was my idea to an extent. So I don't know what my process is because I've never been there.
I think the bourbon was more your idea, right? And then the fashion was...
So the way Riley Label was created was we spent a Saturday on the square in Franklin going from boutique to boutique to boutique. And through that experience, I'm like, there's not a damn thing for a man in any of these places. Like, not even a chair to sit down.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was glad to be there with spending that time with her, but I don't want to follow my wife from rack to rack to rack. I'd rather... There's... okay, I do want to follow her rack.
Sorry. I got the giggles tonight. I promise I ain't on anything other than I just love life. Go ahead.
So
I don't.
Oh man,
we're really just teenagers trapped inside men's bodies, basically. So
we are not grown.
I don't want to be, man. Those
I'm
guys
grown
seem boring.
AF. No, you're not.
Those guys seem boring.
I don't want to.
So anyway, you were talking about your wife's rack.
I'm a Toys R Us. Yeah, keep talking about your wife's rack. Go ahead.
It's beautiful. So I don't want to follow her from area to area. That don't work either.
Anyway,
Y'all get what I'm saying?
yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're laying
Like,
You
down.
think anybody else has as much fun listening to us laugh as we do?
Yeah, Moon told me one time he got so cracked up listening to us. He said, Vinny, I don't know what had y'all all tore up. He goes, y'all looked like y'all sat around and ate a bunch of gummies and just went and laughed. He goes, it was just a clip I saw. He goes, but next thing I know, I'm riding in my car down the road laughing my ass off, and I don't even know why. He's like, so I just wanted to say thank you for giving me that joy.
Well, he can listen to this one then. All right,
So following my wife from spot to spot, and
I just saw Vinny out of the corner of my eye. Him just trying to hold it together
in the store.
yes, and I just want, like, give me something to look at, or give me a place to sit down. Like, give me something.
Yeah.
And so when we wrapped up that day, we wrapped up going somewhere to get something to eat and drink. And I was the idea was born.
Usually after you hit her spots, usually something gets bored. Anyways, go ahead.
So that's where the idea that's where the idea stemmed from, and a couple years later we put it into action.
All right. I'm gonna change things a little bit. I'm gonna change things a little bit. All right. So what I'm hearing you on that is that, so when we had this discussion in Bible study, there was several. We weren't talking about his wife's rack during Bible study. Don't get me wrong. That's not.
No, it's just our transitions are great, man.
Yeah. Well. So anyway, we're talking about this in Bible study, and what we had was like several people that were more that creative, visionary sort of people that got it right away and started talking. And exactly what you said. Then there were like 3 or 4 other people that were like, "Hey, I've never really thought about this idea." And my wife brought up that we used to actually get in arguments about the fact that I was such a visionary, and I would claim things like, hey, God wants me to do this, or God wants me to do that, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And she was like, I don't have any idea what I'm supposed to be doing. And so she felt like everything was just a job, where everything for me was a passion. And we used to get in arguments about the fact that she thought I was so lucky and fortunate that I was so sure of what I was supposed to be doing. And I thought it kind of feels more like a curse than it does being lucky, because I like the fact that you don't know what you're doing, so you could just go do whatever you want to do. It doesn't seem to matter. And there was a lot of arguments over that kind of stuff. But the other night when we realized that, she started realizing herself, and I think all of us did kind of in that moment, was that our job wasn't our purpose. That what we were doing for a living wasn't our purpose. You can make a living in all sorts of things.
Yep.
Why you're picking what career you're picking and who you are during that, I think that's where people are always thriving for more. Like when Jen talks about remodeling houses, she always goes for, I just really like taking houses that I know people have given up on and someone's going to knock it down. If I don't fix this house and make it something beautiful, 10, 15, 20 years, this house is just going to get demolished because the land it sits on is more valuable than the house. And every time I hear her say that, it's always connected with, you can tell for her, saving the environment. It's always connected to these healthy things, and they connected to like, hey, someone put their time and energy into building this home, and they loved this home, and now we're just letting it fall apart.
Yeah.
And she loves redoing that. She loves, when it comes to real estate, she doesn't care about being an agent as much as, like, I see the joy. Like, I've seen her sell really expensive homes and her have no joy from it. And then I've seen her make pennies on some little bitty tiny home, but it was someone's first home, or they were just getting back on their feet. And I'm sure you have those times where, like, someone went through hard times and now they're getting a loan again. They're going to be able to buy a house again, or their first house. She was like walking them through that process and loving on them through that process, guiding them, being there for them during a very, very scary time in their life and an exciting time in their life. And I had to kind of point it out to her, like, you realize, like, that's a purpose. How you're making your money, but what you're doing with that job is more of a purpose.
I think when you find joy within what you're doing, it can become a passion, right? Like I didn't set out to do mortgages for a living, but when I got into it and became decent at it, I found joy and passion in it through the relationships that are built and through the joy, like you said, somebody who, I mean, dude, I've done mortgages for guys that just got out of prison.
Wow.
Yeah. Like they come out, they've saved money while they've been working in the commissary, and they come out, they go get a good job, and they become a homeowner for the first time ever. Or, you know, generational wealth where people come and they're like, dude, nobody in my family has ever owned a home. And then they are the first ones to buy a home. Wow. That means something. So that's where I find my passion, similar to Jen. It's like, it's not what I set out to do.
Right.
But I'm passionate. I found the passion in it.
Right, but so that brings the question, like, how many times do we actually wind up doing what we set out to do? And are we actually limiting ourselves by thinking, this is what I am, this is what I'm going to go do? I mean, like, Vinny and I have talked about, you get lost in the music industry. Like, I got to make a living as a musician. I got to do this as a musician. It's like, dude, I mean, like, I always tell this story on stage. You know, I remember sitting at the piano one night, and I was just playing for myself in the music room there, and I stopped playing, and my wife could see how upset I was, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I just don't." During COVID, I was like, "I just don't know myself without music." And she was like, "You're an idiot. Like you say you don't know yourself without music, but music didn't go anywhere. You know, COVID hit, which meant everything shut down. The crowds went away, the applause went away, and your ego went with it. Music didn't go anywhere. You're sitting.
Also, your bank account went with it.
Your bank account went with it as well. She's like,
that was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. She's like, you're sitting at a piano surrounded by guitars and accomplishments and you know, in a house that you built for 6 children off of that music career. And, you know, that really, those sort of things start making me think about, you know, like, why is it that we take our job and we go, where's this purpose in it? And it kind of brings me to like this, that passage. And I thought this was really cool. I was curious what you guys thought about it. It says, a vision is a clear mental picture of something that God desires for your life. A vision clarifies purpose, helps establish priorities, motivates commitment, maximizes productivity, and fuels passion. When I thought about that, I've done a lot of things in my life that fueled my passion or helped my bank account or maybe maximized this talent over here. But I don't think I've ever looked at anything I've ever done with all of those things and went, does this all match up? And so to me, it made it a little more clear of thinking about that, of going, when I'm afraid of, is this what I'm supposed to be doing or not? Is this where I'm supposed to be investing my time and efforts and money? If I can answer all those questions there and it's good, that's probably where I need to be, because I just don't think there's many things that I can do that are going to line up with all of those things.
Yeah.
That's dope.
No,
I can get behind it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think, you know, with all of those things, like, you know, your passion, your vision, you know, your vision of what you're trying to do, the getting the clarity, knowing that it's where God wants you walking. I mean, it's such an important part of your life, because I believe that's also where you find joy. You know, happiness is temporary. You know, if I gave you, if I give you $1,000 right now, I'm like, dude, thanks, man. You'd be happy. You know, now you're gonna make more than that tomorrow because you're awesome. But if I give you that $1,000, be like, hey, I just want to give you this, man. It's a gift that lets you know I love you. You're like, dude, that makes me happy. You know, if I gave you a jet ski, you'd be happy. But that doesn't create joy, because I think joy comes from something so much deeper inside of you that is like, man, am I waking up every day? Am I proud of the life that I have? Am I feeling like I'm giving my kids, not just the best life when it comes to monetary things, but am I teaching them to be good people and not be little shitheads?
Which is most important.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us could say sitting here right now that the only days that you don't go to bed or wake up knowing how blessed you are the days that you didn't think about it. Because every day that I stop to think about, like as soon as I go to lay down in that bed, every night I'm like, whoa. This is my life.
Well, we talked about this earlier, and it plays into that, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm just really hard on myself, and I know you kind of share the same sentiments, intimacy. We share the same intimacy.
Don't leave Jeff out of this, because I just complimented his guns earlier, and he was like, it's not the guns, it's the T-shirt.
Yeah.
He's quick to shift.
You go to jail for that kind of stuff in California.
Working on them.
But no, I work my butt off all day. I mean, most of the times I get up around 4 to 4:30 in the morning. I go and train my first client, and I come home and I, get everything ready for the kids, get them up, get them, and my wife's doing that too. She got a client tomorrow morning. She starts at 4 o'clock, so she's got to get up at 3:30. So we go and we go and we go. When I finally get the kids to bed at night after going all day long, I always feel guilty if I sit down to spend time on me. Like if I sit down to watch a show that I want to watch by myself in the living room, because now my wife has got me sucked into this blind date thing somehow.
Love it. No, blind love.
Love is blind.
Love is blind.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've got sucked into it as well.
I'm like, bro, you picking the wrong girl. She does not look like Megan Fox.
No, she does not.
I mean, she's not a bad looking girl, but she don't look like Megan Fox. You've met Megan Fox.
You just can't say, well, people tell me I look like Megan Fox. That's not you know what I mean? Like, you can't say that.
Yeah. You met Megan Fox.
Listen, I get told that I look like
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg all the time, but I would never tell a girl that couldn't see me
I've
through a
never
wall.
seen that until just now.
Oh, I'll see it. You shave that beard off and give him some little puffy hair.
But-
and then go, guys, what did you do with all the guns?
My point is, it's been like pretty much every day of my life for years. And with that being said, I still would never tell a girl on the other side of the wall that couldn't see me, I look like Mark Wahlberg. Like, I wouldn't, are you kidding me?
Hey, especially if it's supposed to be Love is Blind. I look like freaking Jack Black after he ate Bowser. I was like, I want, if you're going to love me, I want you to love me for me. I want you to love me for, now what do you look like though? But, no, but I was saying, like, if I sit down and play a game of Madden or anything, I always get this like guilty feeling for it. So much so that, I mean, like my wife the other night, she come out of the bedroom and she's like, "What are you doing?" Because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't go to sleep. I was just playing a game of Madden. I'm like, I'm just playing one game. It's like, and I even almost got frustrated with her because I'm like, why are you questioning me what I'm doing? Like, and of course she knows I'm not in there doing anything nefarious, but I'm literally sitting there. I'm like, I'm gonna F this kid up. I know you probably 12 over there cussing me out and you beat me 75-14, but still, but I it's like almost I get offensive about it because I'm like, I feel guilty. I'm like, why do I feel guilty for doing something that I enjoy doing, And so I think, as hard workers and the people that we are, I haven't figured out, and just today we talked about this literally when I was driving in. I'm like, I don't know why I feel that way. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
because I work my butt off all the time and I provide a great life for my family, but then I feel guilty if I'm doing one little thing for myself.
But I tell you the same thing. I don't think that I think about feeling guilty in that moment until you, like you just said, your wife comes in and goes, "What are you doing?" And she's not, I don't know if it's just that tired sound in her voice. I don't know if she maybe is irritated. I'm not sure what that is, but I will take offense immediately. And I didn't realize until you just said it. It's because I'm feeling guilty about what I'm doing for some odd reason. The same thing goes, like Jen and I talk about all the time on job sites. Like you almost, and it's going to sound weird coming from me, like you almost have to handle me with she does at least, has to handle me with kid gloves.
Yeah, anybody else said about playing a game of Madden.
You can't critique me that much on the job because I want to do so well. Yeah. I want to overachieve so badly. And I'm being so hard on myself already that you don't need to announce whatever you think is wrong or whatever I did wrong because I'm already beating myself up over it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like I told you. I said, look, I got up at 4 o'clock the other morning, went and trained my client, came and got the kids. Of course, sat in the car line that morning. Got them breakfast, did all the stuff, got them ready to go. As I'm sitting there in the car line, of course, you sit there and wait for 30 minutes without moving. I'm shooting out some emails for the day. I've already shot out a couple after I trained my client. Shooting out some emails, trying to figure out, okay, are we booking this show? Are we booking that show? Doing all the things. And I've got all this stuff done, and now I'm waiting on people to answer me back. So come around noon, I've sent out all my emails and done all my stuff, and I've been working for 6-7 hours already for the day. And I sit down in my chair, and I fell asleep. And I woke up upset at myself for falling asleep. Even though I'm like, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't believe I fell asleep. And she's like, I mean, you just fell asleep for like 10 minutes. It's not a big deal. Yeah. I was like, I know, but I said, but I feel like, I should be working or should be getting something done. She's like, didn't you send out all your stuff? I said, yeah. Did they answer you back? I said, not yet. She goes, well, then you didn't miss anything. But it's like that same guilty feeling of like, bro, you can't be sleeping. you got to get your butt up and get in gear. You know,
Yeah,
even though I've
it's-
already put in more hours than a lot of people put in for the entire day at noon.
And I think that's the key. There's a lot of people that would fall asleep at noon because they were out partying the night before.
Yeah.
That's a complete
Or
different
not get up
ballgame.
till 2:30.
That's when you wake up feeling guilty, right?
And they didn't work. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I don't think that's healthy. I think there's something inside there that I need to figure out why I feel that way, and I don't know if it comes down to, I don't know what it comes down to. 'Cause I mean,
Well, I mean, just as a friend that's watched you for years, I know that you had some people in your life at a very early age telling you that you couldn't accomplish anything.
right?
And you worked your butt off to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And so why wouldn't it be ingrained in your head that you have to work?
Yeah,
That's the
can
only
see
way.
that.
If you have something set in your head that says, I'm not worth it unless I'm working my ass off.
Yeah,
Because I question that all the time. Like, if I will think I shouldn't have to work this hard to make money. And then something will happen and I get money and I didn't work that hard and I go, I don't deserve that. I didn't even do anything.
yeah,
It's like, such a weird spot.
Yeah, I think I'm putting myself in the same position, and I think part of this is probably unhealthy, but I think part of my self-worth comes from my wife thinking I'm a hard worker.
Oh, for sure, dude.
I agree with that.
I don't know if I'm honest. I do think it's unhealthy, but I don't know that you can be a good husband without having that feeling. Like, why would you not want to please the
Because
most
if she
important
doesn't
person?
think that, then what? I'm a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah, but why would you not want to please the most amazing person you know?
No, agreed. Yeah.
You
I've been
said
trying
you're
to please
so.
you for years, bro.
You always please me.
No, I mean, but I think that's a valid point. Is you want? I never want my wife, and maybe that's just like innately built into you as an alpha kind of brain type male of like, nah, I want my wife to never see another man or another person as harder worker than me. Nobody's going to provide for you like I will. Nobody's going to give you their everything. It's like, I mean, I was strictly instructed not to be on this foot. Like, hey, you need to, 12, 1,500 steps a day at most. 10,000 steps a day later, I'm like, they're like, hey, you may want to lay off that foot a little bit before you end up losing that foot, So then it's like I sit down and, now I'm trying to, limit how much I'm on the foot. And then I'm just like, I don't know. It's like, maybe that's part of what's messing with my mind here lately too, is just like not being able to get out and go and just be the normal me. Like even when we did the show for Toby the other night, and I mean, I don't know how much we raised yet, but I know it's going to be in that $5,000 to $6,000 range for Toby's charity. But, Butter looked at me and goes, are you able to do the worm? And I'm like, no. And then I felt like
Yeah.
I
Watch me.
and I did the splits and I hurt the shit out of my ankle. But I was like, I
Dude,
felt.
why?
Yeah.
Why I love you, buddy, but why would you try that?
I mean, I did it.
I know, I understand that.
It just hurt when I got back up. No, but literally when I couldn't do the worm on the stage, maybe it's just that ego or that like feeling you're immortal. I felt like I messed up our whole show because I couldn't be what I normally am in the show. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so and that was the first time Trailer Choir with Crystal had played together in 13 years. And I couldn't be what I normally was, even when I weighed 500 pounds, because of this injury. And so I don't know if that plays into some of the feelings that I've had, the emotions I've had here lately about, feeling. I mean, but now what it has done is it's motivated me to get on the phone and go get these shows booked.
Well, I think it's also going to show your raw talent outside of that. I think all that's starting to come
sure.
to the forefront.
I agree with that. I think
sure.
that
and help you depend on some different things instead of just this
the entertainment craziness. Yeah, yeah. And you know what really helped me on even getting started in that. I mean, I think you saw me grow quite a bit when we started doing the boat, and it was just us and guitars. Now I still got out there and danced and acted like an idiot and everything, but it's like I got to slow it down a little bit and focus on the songwriting and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
Which brings us back to just your purpose. When I sent you that song the other day, I need to send it to you. I don't know if I sent it to you.
I don't think so.
I need to send it to you, but I wrote it for my wife and my kids, and it's called "I Can Live Forever" in a song. So where I got the idea for this song was, I was sitting there back in 2016, and I was listening to my dad's last sermon from 2007, and I was sitting there, and it starts off good and bad, happy and sad, and I can hear my dad's voice every time I say those words, and I was listening. I'm like, man, how cool is it that I can still hear my dad talk, and he can still give me a life lesson. You know, because I have more than one sermon, but I have his very last sermon, you know, recorded, so I can always hear it. I was like, man, it's like he can live forever in that. And then I thought about his songs because he was a songwriter, and I was like, man, my dad can live forever in a song. And so I wrote down that title, I Can Live Forever in a Song, and I wrote a chorus. I wrote pretty much the chorus that you hear, a couple little changes from the writing point the other day. I wrote with Lance Carpenter and Michael Farron. And then what brought it back up was after Toby passed away, I was sitting there and I was like listening to his songs over and over, and I was emotional because, I mean, this guy changed my whole life, you know. But I was sitting there listening to it, I was like, man, how many memories is this guy's songs created in the world of somebody's like, man, you shouldn't kiss me like this unless you mean it like that, or, you know, or should have been a cowboy. How many people at 10 years old like me was, you know, putting on your little cowboy hat and you stick horse and riding around and say, should have been a cowboy. And so I just thought about that. It's like, man, you can live forever in a song, you know? And so that's what brought that back up. And I literally sat down with those guys and I was like, we sat down to write a completely different song, which we wrote that day as well. But I hit them with that and they're like, dude, we want to write that, you know? And they just let me get raw and real for a minute, and, you know. And then old Michael Farron can just sing his butt off, man. I mean, I was like, he's like, we got to get this to so-and-so. I'm like, I mean, we need to let me sing it because they hear you singing it. They're going to feel like they can't sing it that good. You know, that's why I was like, I can send it to like 3 people that I know that can hit those notes. So, but anyway, go ahead. What was you going to say? You had something you started to say, and I was going to listen to it, and then I started
Did
talking. I don't know. I
got lost in your story. I don't.
No, like I said, I just think that what I've realized is with my purpose of my songs, and I want to be able to tell my stories through my songs. And I believe that's where God's leading me is, hey man, it's time for you to not worry about the dancing. Maybe that's part of the reason. And we haven't got into this. I don't think I've told you yet, but basically the doctor said the part that they fixed is healing well on my ankle. I'm going to tell everybody right now because I hadn't told nobody this except for just 2 or 3 people. But there's a lot of really deep structural damage inside the top, you know, higher part of the ankle and into the leg. And it may heal up and be fine, about a 50-50 chance. But if it don't, there's 2 options. Either they fuse the entire thing and basically have a peg leg that has a non-working foot, or they amputate. So I don't know if that means they amputate from the knee down or just the foot off or what that is. But that's been, you know, heavy on me. And I thought about it, man. At first I was really pissed off at the doctor. I'm like, oh, what are you doing all this crap? I was like, fix it the first time right away. But then as I got to sitting there thinking about it, I was like, man, maybe this is God just saying like, nah, man, like you got other talents, you got other stuff going on.
Yeah. At the same time, though, I also know that if it came down to that scenario, ain't nothing going to slow you down.
No,
I know that
I'll
about
find a
you.
way.
And I mean, right now you've been moving towards speaking and speaking and speaking.
Yeah.
And I know that any challenge that comes your way, you'll destroy it, and it's going to do nothing but add to your story and make you that much more powerful as a speaker.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that's looking, you know, things totally different. It's easier said, but I mean, I think we've all faced enough challenges in our life that you realize, like, you can either give up or you can keep rolling with it. And, you know, but I mean, you know, my heart immediately went out thinking about that, because I know that the performance side of you is just the easy part for you. I mean, it's a no-brainer for you. But, you know, something came up in Bible study, not the other night, but a few weeks ago, that hit me, that when you think that God isn't answering your prayer and things are going the opposite way, you forget that there might be someone else praying for something totally different that your prayer affects. And the part that was brought up was there was a girl that had a lot of troubles out of her pregnancy, and they knew there was going to be a lot of problems if she had another one. And she felt like, this is what I want. I want to have another baby. I want to have another baby. And she's praying and praying and praying, having no idea her husband's over there just praying for her health.
Yeah.
And she wasn't able to have another baby. You know, and it occurred to her, like, oh, while I was praying to have another baby, what if I had died having that other baby?
Yeah.
My husband was praying for my health. So maybe God chose to answer his prayer and said, nope, not going to answer yours, because that's directly going to affect his.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's a great point.
and so you never know what it is that we're not listening to sometimes, or just not quite hearing what God's saying, that he has to put things in our life, or he better yet, even lets the devil mess with us just a little bit to go, oh, he's going to learn this. I'm going to need you to see this, because to complete this entire vision, this entire mission, this entire purpose, he's going to have to learn some more things. And I know with you, your purpose, your vision is bigger than almost anybody I know. And unfortunately, that comes with a whole lot of hard lessons in order to know that, you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I agree with everything you're saying. And I got, normally with me, anything that gets me down, it keeps me down for maybe, at the most 24 hours, and I'm back up to being my happy-go-lucky self. So definitely by the next day, especially after talking to Jared, I was like, you know what? And of course, I talked to my wife about it too, and she was like, look, you're going to be great no matter what. She's like, honestly, I've seen you do radio interviews, and I've seen you make people laugh that can't see you at all. I've seen you bring joy to people over the phone. I've seen you sit there and coach people away from committing suicide on the phone.
It does not change who you are.
Yeah, and so that was a big thing for me to learn, because like we talked about your identity being wrapped up in what you do as opposed to who you are. And I think that was a big thing for me. Is for so long I was, you can't believe that boy can move like that, And I love that. I love that praise. I mean, anybody that says they don't like to get praise or get somebody to talk good about them is lying. Now, there's a difference when they're giving you compliments to your face and you're like, oh, man, thanks, man. Because I sometimes am not great about taking compliments. I've gotten better about it because I read a book that my buddy Lance Carpenter, who I wrote that song with, one of the guys I wrote the song with, he sent me a book, and it was called The Go-Giver. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, you should accept compliments. You should accept gifts from people, because if you don't accept the gift, then you're taking away their ability to give, which is taking away their ability to sow, which also then takes away their ability to receive, and reap what they sow. And obviously they're not sowing to reap, but that's just, it's going to happen that way. So anyways, no, I felt great about, that after we had that conversation, and just, where is God guiding me? And that's something that's been big on Jared, is like, everything from the way he's choosing to do business to the way he's handling his situation with his kids and his wife. And he's, several years ahead of me on those type of things, is giving me that guidance of like, okay, step back, open your mind up, open your heart up, and then let's focus on what God truly wants for you. And I have so many people like, God wants you to be a preacher. I'm like, no, we don't. Because I don't want to run a church. I was like, but I don't mind carrying the word of God with me everywhere I go and everywhere I speak and everywhere that I sing, play music, any podcast I'm on, any digital stage or physical stage, whether it's my own stage or somebody else's stage. I'm going to get up there and talk about God.
You can take them to church.
Yesterday I went to Perry County grade school, and I sang, and I did my book for the third graders there. And we got done, and they're like, can you sing some songs? I said, I sure can. I was like, can I pick the songs I sang? They're like, yeah, just no profanity. I'm like, okay. And I sang This Little Light of Mine, and then my wife sang I will lean on the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life I have been faithful. She sang that song, and I said, if I won't sing, I'll sing about Jesus. So
yeah.
And then I read them Green Eggs and Ham. And I answered their questions, which is always, how much can you bench press? Can I arm wrestle you? Can I strum your guitar? And do you know my mom and dad when I'm in Perry County? Yep, know your mom and dad. Do you know my mom and dad? Who's your mom and dad? So and so and so so. I know them very well. Do you know my mom and dad? Yes, I do. We won't talk about that.
My questions are always the same. They're always, what celebrities do you know?
Yeah.
What kind of pants are those? And where'd you get those shoes?
And
sometimes, what car did you drive here?
And does that watch have its own go-go gadget gears? Look at that.
This one doesn't, but the new one my wife got me does.
There's a new one.
It's the most special watch I've ever had. I'm a little nervous about wearing. It's one of those kind of watches that you're like, I think you know who I am. I shouldn't wear. I'm going to break that. That's not.
So when are you going to
wear it? You want to tell us about it?
I'll wear it. I'll wear it next time.
Okay.
You'll love it.
Okay.
Hey, so we're about to have to wrap up here, but I do want to throw out a praise real quick. You guys know that I just got back from a cruise with my wife, right? And I was sitting on that boat, and she was talking about different people and manifesting, where you were. And one of them was one of the girls in the the Bible study, it said that she had dreamed of this moment in her life that she was standing there holding a newborn baby. That she was sitting on the couch nursing a newborn baby, and she looked up and saw this man washing dishes at her sink with a towel over his shoulder, wearing a button-up shirt. And she was like, I didn't see the face, but she was like, I just thought, man, I don't know when that'll happen in my life, but I want that. I want that moment. And she was like, the other day I was sitting there nursing my baby, and I looked up, and I saw my husband standing at the sink in a button-up shirt and a towel over his shoulder, and I was like, this is that moment.
Yeah.
I've dreamed of this. And we were talking about that story, and we're sitting on the boat, and we're just taking off from the port there. And she was having lunch as we were about to leave, and I was looking out at the port, and she was telling that story, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. And then I looked up and saw the Victory Casino Cruise, which was this Kmart of a gambling casino boat that me and Vinny used
Had
to.
some of the best times on.
I mean, kind of place that your feet stick to the floor, you know. And
like an old movie theater.
Yeah, it was something. And I saw that boat as we were pulling out of Port Canaveral there, and I remember being on that boat like 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was, and
pre-COVID,
looking at these ships out here, and there were 2 different ships. One of them was that Disney cruise, and the other one I remember was white and blue. And in that and I remember standing on that boat and going, man, I'd be glad when I can take my wife on a cruise like that. And it seemed so far away from me, because you know how much cruises cost. It seemed so far away from me in my head of doing that. And I'm sitting on this boat, and I thought about that when I saw that boat. And I immediately were like sitting by this window where the balcony was, and I looked down the side of the boat.
Blue and white.
It was the blue and white boat. And I was like, I'll be damned. Yeah. And I just started crying immediately, sitting there at the table. And she's like, you okay? And I was like, nah, I'm just manifesting stuff over here.
That's why they call it manifesting. Okay?
Manifesting. But, you know, back to like the last episode we had, you know, you focus on things. And if I look, you know, back on last week, I'll feel like a failure. But if I look back on last year, year before that, 3 years back, 5 years back, I can't complain. If I look back on my life like that and see where it's progressed, I can't complain at all, you know. But if you ask me about yesterday, I will complain all day long about yesterday. Amen. And tell you I didn't get anything accomplished. I can tell you that for some odd reason, I worked on a hidden door for my wife because she wanted a freaking hidden door in this $2 million house, and no one knew how to do it. So I got volunteered to do it, and I failed at it 100%.
I thought I saw a video of it. It was dope.
Yeah, it warped on me.
Oh.
And so then I spent all day trying to figure out how to fix the warp, and I finally broke it. And
and then I hid that door in the bushes out back.
Anyway, and I felt like a failure yesterday. And, you know, then we went to a dinner with some friends, and, you know, you sit there in those moments and you look at where you are in life, and you're like, man, I don't know what I'm complaining about at all, ever, you know?
It's like
no matter your ups and downs, you know what I mean? Like, you still, you know where you came from, Vinny, on your worst day right now.
Yeah.
You know where you came from.
I know I ain't ever going back there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I do, I expect both of y'all to be kicking the shit out of me.
Well, listen, I love you guys, and if you don't fully know your vision and purpose, I'm going to be praying for it for you guys, because I think we all need that, just having that reassurance that, you know. And sometimes Vinny calls me and goes, hey, man, I think it was about my wife's company and me doing all this work with her. I was like, man, I just don't know. And I hadn't expressed anything to him about not being sure about what I was doing. And he called me one day. He's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I was praying about you this morning, and it, you know, just kind of occurred to me, I think you're on the right track, and this is really going to be fruitful for your family and really work out. And I was like, dang.
Well, and that's what I prayed for you. You know, when I was in my prayers, like, I think a lot of times when you pray, you're like, I pray for the health and hope everything's going good, you know.
Yeah.
But that was a specific prayer. I was like, man, I feel like Jared's and Jen are on to something here that is going to be something epic and huge. And you're already proving that and doing it. And when I prayed, I just prayed, you know, for God to guide y'all through that and help you make the right choices when it comes to everything from investors to which properties to invest in, you know, with the coffee shop and stuff that's coming up. I mean, that was a big thing. I just thought in my prayers tonight, God, I just want you to continue to guide them in the right way that'll be most uplifting to you. But also, I wanted to create profit for y'all. I think a lot of people get confused and they think that Jesus was a poor man. It's like he had a freaking treasurer, which was Judas, which may not have been the best treasurer, but he was a treasurer. Looking back now, I mean, he was like every banker. But I'm just saying, like, I think so many people get that confused, and they think that they always quote that, well, money is the root of all evil, and I'm like, no, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. But if you're getting that money and you're doing great things with that money, then why would it be evil? God doesn't want you to be sitting there being broke, and I just prayed for y'all to have fruition in that, and then just give me 10%. Basically,
right,
it was what I prayed for at the end of it.
I mean, I'm praying for you guys' joy because I don't think any of us know exactly where that lies.
Yeah,
what's going to bring that
changes. I mean, what I thought I would want by the time I was 40 completely changed once I had kids. Like now, it's like I look for ways to not be gone.
Dude.
I love the road. I love
me too. Me
I'm
too,
a road warrior. I'll stay on the road. I love being on the road. But now it's like I look for reasons. I'm like, I'll be gone from my kids for 5, 6, 7 days. It's either got to make a good amount of money or be something that I believe is putting good into this world.
And I'm going to tell you, it gets worse because I had those feelings the whole time my kids were growing up. And now that they're older, I realize when I came home from the road and they were younger, they were still there.
Yeah.
When I go on the road now, they may have been there, may not have been there, but they're not at my house when I get there. Home. And so if they came through, I got to see them. And if I'm not, so it's now realizing how much they're being influenced. And they listened to every word I said when they were little. I was their Superman,
Yeah.
Same way with you, but it's not like that anymore. Now they're getting influenced by the rest of the world. So I have more of a need to I got to be in my kid's life. I got to be there. I got to be there. I got to be there. And then learning how do I talk without being an asshole, about things. Be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're just like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So how do I explain this? Like, I'm just not sure that's going to work out for you the way you think, baby, because...
Because I already made those mistakes.
Because it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, the delivery. Got to work on the delivery. No, one of my worst moments. It wasn't even something I was being mean on, and I've told this story before, but my son is he's the most loving, caring, sensitive dude. He cares. Like if somebody falls over there in the corner, he's the one who's rushing over there. Are you okay? How can I help you? Whereas Harley would be like, ha! And kick them in the face while they're down there. That's just like completely different personalities raised the same way. But one day he was sitting there and he was talking. I was like, shut up. And I was meaning it as like a joke, like, no way. He goes, and he just starts bawling. I'm like, what is wrong? You told me to shut up. I'm like, no, I said, shut up. He goes, I know.
I know how you said it.
I said, no, buddy. I said, the way I was saying it, he goes, we were told we're not supposed to say shut up. I'm like, you're not supposed to say telling somebody, hey, you shut up. I was like, but if he was like, shut up. I mean, that means in disbelief. I was like, and it's like, he was so hurt by me telling him to shut up,
Shut up.
I was like, shut up. So anyway, I've learned, man, it's like, I grew up getting the shit kicked out of me. And I was like, life's okay, I still got food in my belly and a roof over my head. My son, I say something that's literally meant as like a disbelief thing, but he's been raised in this world where, like you said, I'm his Superman. I'm supposed to be there to protect him, and he felt like I was not protecting him in that moment. And for me, that was hard for me because it's like, dude, you're my best buddy. I want to make sure you know. But I mean, and he knows. I mean, you've probably both been on the phone with me when I've had to say, hey, boy, you better listen to what I say. He can handle that just fine. He's like, yes, sir.
But not shut
up.
Hey, so I tell you, Cash will still talk about it today, man. This kid's 17 years old, and it still affected him. He's probably 4 years old when this happened. And we're playing Mafia. You guys ever played Mafia, card game? Mm-hmm. Playing Mafia, and I'm the Mafia. And he thinks I'm the greatest thing ever. And he looks at me and he goes, Dad, are you the Mafia? And I said, no. And he goes, he was the sheriff. And he was like, do you promise me you're not the Mafia? And I said, I promise, buddy. He goes, you wouldn't lie to me, right? And I said, nope. And then I killed him in the next round.
You were, in fact, the Mafia.
And that kid that kid, like the look on his face when they told the story and they're like, and Cash died. You know, he was like, and he looked at me. Dude, it crushed his soul for like 3 weeks. And like, if you ask him about, your dad ever lied to you? To this day, he'd be like, yeah, we were playing Mafia this one time.
I think it comes through because you are such a matter-of-fact, straightforward person. Like, you don't mince words. Like, you know, if you can count on somebody to tell you the truth, Jared is that guy. It's like, no, I wouldn't. That's wrong, you know. Now, he's wrong about flat Earth versus round
Here we
Earth.
go.
But no, he don't mince words. So if Jared tells you a lie,
You're saying that about me when you're you. I was just saying this the other day. I was like, dude, I don't know when you're going to be too easy on someone or you're going to tell them so just brutal honesty. And he did that to somebody the other day. And
Yesterday.
I was like, whoa.
well, I mean, it was just, I think it's because it struck a chord with me. This person that we love he's great talent. And we're working with him. And he just said, I mean, I don't want to have to work while I do that.
There's something to that effect.
And I was like, part of me was going to be like, well, you get the wrong two guys to work with you then.
Right.
Because I work my ass off right now, and I've had tons of success as a songwriter, tons of success as an artist, tons of success as a TV personality, and I still go and work my ass off on other stuff every single day. So if that's the mentality you're going to have, either A, you better be bringing in a multi-million-dollar investor, or I better be leaving because I ain't going to go work harder for you than you. And like I said, I put it to him, and we had a great talk last night, and I think he understands it now. Like, you know, in the perspective I was even thinking about, I think I was more offended for Jared because I'm like, I've watched this dude do everything from be a bartender to work concrete to, you know, to shoveling shit, you know, to try and make his dreams come true. And so when somebody looks and says like, almost like they're above something, I'm like, nah, bro, get out.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Well, that might be a good time to wrap this up. And come listen to our next episode. Get a job, sir.
Get a job and get off my lawn. All right, y'all. This is the Rough Fine Live Podcast. Make sure you like, share, follow, give us 5 stars, give us a recommendation. We are on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. Wherever else you can get your podcast from. Don't watch us while you're driving because we might get you in a laughing fit. Or you might think we're idiots, and we don't care either way, just as long as you're watching. Hitting that algorithm. That's what AF stands for. Algorithm fart.
Algorithm fart.
Anyways, all right, y'all. Peace out.
Peace.
Can I push that one?
Nope. Who doesn't want to work?
None of that one.
It was Jackson Wayne. It's not that he don't want to work. He wants to just do music. But I'm like, dude, you're not in a position yet to just do music. And he's
Well, what he said was,
It's him and
he
the
was
drum
like,